There's a popular saying that cruising is just boat work in exotic places, and that proves to be true once again as we tried to diagnose if we do or do not have an overheating issue. We also continue to explore and even find complete solitude in the beautiful and exotic Blas Islands. But first we'll start with a dramatic water rescue on the high seas.
I might have to jump in.
It's alright.
Come on, puppy! Come on! Come on, you can do it! Well, we're gonna have to put the dinghy back in anyways to try to find whoever's dog it is. Come on! Come on, you're almost here. Come on. It's okay. It's okay.
Doesn't want to come with us.
Come on. It's okay.
It's his dog.
¡Hijo puta! ¡Te voy a matar! ¡Te voy a matar! No.
You alright, puppy? You alright? Aww.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, how old is he?
11.
Aww.
He's escaping every day.
Oh no!
Yes.
Which boat?
Yes.
Oh wow!
Swim far.
The catamaran over there?
Catamaran is there.
Okay. Oh.
Thank you.
That was so scary.
Yeah, he swam really far.
We were putting the dinghy up. We're about to switch spots. And I guess I just have a thing for spotting floating dogs in the water. And I saw this thing. It looked like a coconut, but it was not a coconut. It was moving. It was a little dog. Right when we got it, I guess its owner came up. But he said the dog was 11 and he came all the way from over there.
Yeah.
So I wonder.
Well, the current's been ripping this way, so he probably swam straight that way, but then he had to swim against the current. So we just bought a few things from these guys, some molas, not this one, we got that one yesterday. I think we bought this one and this one. This is a flag, their Kuna flag. We told them we were leaving to another spot and they asked if they could get a ride on the way. So we're taking just a little bit of a detour and we're giving them a ride because it's like directly into the wind and they would have to paddle. It's only like a mile or two. And we're gonna drop them off at this next island. I asked if they wanted to come on the boat, which isn't ideal because Jetty would bite strangers, but we would put Jetty inside. But they said no, they'll stay in the canoe, which is probably better, but just figured I'd be polite.
Adios! I like them. They were super sweet. So I had like a couple of flip-flops, some hair clips that I don't use all that much, a big hair scrunchie, a pair of sunglasses. So gave that to them and they were super excited. We had some like candy that we gave to a little girl. So that was fun.
Alright guys, in all seriousness, I have been drinking Element all the time. I really truly love it, and we're fully restocked now with my favorite flavors: mango chili, orange salt, and citrus salt. And I'm about to go be a sweaty mess in the engine compartment, so I'm gonna drink an Element right now and we're gonna get this next project going. Element is an electrolyte drink mix that is free of sugar, artificial colors, fillers, and other iffy ingredients. Element is great for replenishing electrolytes like a day like today where I'm gonna be sweating in the engine room, but also for workouts.
And the occasional seasickness.
Element can help fight the negative effects of dehydration like fatigue, headaches, and muscle cramping. If you want to give Element a try, visit drinkelement.com/Tula and get a free Element sample pack with any purchase. And if fizzy water is your thing, make sure to try out the new Element Sparkling, a bold 16-ounce can of sparkling electrolyte water. Element has a no questions asked refund policy, so you can try it risk-free. So feel the difference proper hydration can make with Element. And now, I have to go change my clothes so that I can go into the engine compartment and do some work. I've spent more time in these engine rooms doing stuff than I have in Mountain Mist's engine room. We're swapping our high output alternators. For a long time, we've known that this engine room, and especially that alternator, has been significantly hotter than the other side. There should be 2 vents in each engine compartment so that you have that cross flow of airflow. Originally, when we got the boat, we did not have 2 vents in this engine compartment. The vent was there on the outside, but there was no vent tube into this engine room. There was just one. So last spring, Seawind's Global Service Tech installed the second vent tube and connected the actual vent on the outside into the engine room, which we were hoping was going to make this engine room cooler. So this is all a little bit gray, a little bit blurry with another issue, which was that relay problem. That relay was getting really hot. That relay housing was warping. We already replaced those relays. In general, we're still getting too much heat. This engine compartment is consistently 20 or 30 degrees hotter than the other engine compartment. This high output alternator seems to be consistently about that much hotter than the other high output alternator. It's been like that for a while. Even after they added the second vent into this engine compartment, it's still like that. Maybe it cooled it down a little bit, but it's still consistently way hotter than the other engine compartment. And Seawind doesn't know why. Our last kind of test, we've been testing all sorts of ways. I've been running the engine with the cover off, with the hatches open, just to kind of get a equal comparison, because that engine compartment is way bigger. Our last test is just to swap the alternators and see if we're still getting the same results, or if the alternator is hotter on that side now. If this alternator is hotter on that, and then we know for sure, all right, something's up with the alternator. It's getting significantly hotter than the other alternator. Or is it something with the engine compartment or the engine or something? It's not getting so hot that like the engine's not getting too hot. We're not getting high heat alarms or anything like that. We're getting, like, we've checked all the easy stuff. The water flow, the sea strainer, like all the easy stuff. And just trying to narrow it down. So anyway, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm swapping the high output alternators, then we're going to test it and see if this engine compartment, if this alternator is still getting much hotter than the other side.
Question. Could the fact that it's so much hotter have anything to do with why that bracket fell off?
So I just pulled this bracket off the top of the engine mount. The stud off the engine mount comes through here. No, not really. I'm trying to see if, like, somehow could a bearing be bad in the alternator, and could that be related? That could be causing heat if, like, we have a bad bearing in the alternator, but I feel like we would hear something, and maybe, but I don't know how that could even still be related to the bracket issue. I'm not sure, but either way, let's get to it. Swapping the alternators was pretty straightforward. First, I removed the fuses to make sure none of the wires connected to it were live. Then I loosened the tensioning bolt to remove the belt, removed the electrical connections, and completely unbolted the alternator from the engine.
Does anything look off?
Not really. No. Same thing for the other alternator. Alright, we swapped the alternators. Nothing looked abnormal, so we'll run both engines. We'll run them at the same time, the same RPM. Just at anchor, we'll run them at like 15 to 1800 RPM out of gear. We'll just compare the temperatures and see what happens. If that engine room and alternator gets significantly hotter than this side, we know for sure it's the alternator.
Or if it gets significantly hotter than you've been recording in that engine room.
Well, we can only compare versus each other. It's not really fair to compare past because the ambient temperature is a little different scenarios. If this engine room gets significantly hotter, we'll have to compare the alternator temperatures, but then there's another problem. I'm going to leave the hatches open to try to just simulate more ventilation. There is more ventilation, just to try to match closer to the other engine room where there actually is more ventilation. Let's see what happens. I have to put the fuses back in for the alternator. Alright, I just did a test. Ran the engines at like 16 to 1800 RPM, somewhere in there, for an hour and change. We were pretty low on batteries. We're only at like 50%. So definitely those high output alternators were definitely working to charge up the house bank. It's the same. That alternator, according to my IR sensor and according to the Mastervolt temperature sensor, like the software, is at least 10 degrees hotter on that side, more like 12 degrees Celsius, and IR showed about the same. So that's not too hot at all. That's well within the appropriate temperature range for those alternators. The difference is the only thing that I'm trying to figure out, and especially the difference with the ambient temperature on both sides of the engine room. This starboard side still seems to be about 20 degrees hotter Fahrenheit than the port side, even with like the 2 hatches open in there and the engine compartment off and everything. So it's a little more of a difference with all that closed up, especially with the hatch and mattress on. It's like at least 30 degrees difference Fahrenheit. I don't know what like the maximum limit of an engine room temperature is supposed to be, but it is hot enough where it's like kind of all the zip ties in there that hold like the wire looms and the coolant lines and fuel lines, like they're not breaking, they're not melting, but they like start to sag over time. And I like replace them every few months or whatever. And that was just a short test, again, just an hour. Engines weren't really under load except for the alternators, and they were just revved up a bit. But the real test will come when we motor, you know, a couple hours or more, and our house bank is low, so we have the alternators working again as well. Then we'll be able to get a little bit of a clearer picture of the temp difference. But the test proved its purpose. I don't think it's the alternators. I think it's just probably ventilation or something in that engine room. I've done the IR gun on the engines themselves too. Like, I checked for raw water flow out the exhaust. Seems perfectly normal and equal on both sides. Checked the sea strainer, nothing in the sea strainer. Checked in the coolant, like under the coolant cap, and just took a peek in there. Looked completely like clean coolant, normal, full on both sides. Overflow tank is above the empty mark, you know, it's between the full and the empty mark or whatever. Trying to eliminate all variables. And the IR gun still shows like that. The IR gun on the engines themselves show the temperatures to be about equal, within 5 degrees of each other, within like 3 or 4 degrees of each other Fahrenheit. I've tested it on like where the coolant is, on where like the head is, on the block, on the sail drive. So yeah, I don't know.
Love being surrounded by picturesque palm tree lined islands. And while they are the best backdrops, sometimes we feel like we need a little more movement than walking around one in a circle a few times. When that's the case, we leave the dinghy behind and get Jetty to the beach to do her business by swimming there. And don't worry, we bring a bag and she is responsible for bringing it back all by herself.
So since we've been anchored in Chichimi, we've been looking out at this old wreck out on the reef and wondering what the story is. So I looked it up, and apparently it's an old Bay of Fundy ferry that an Austrian man bought on auction from Transport Canada for $200,000. And he was planning on making a business out of it here in Panama, but apparently his permits were denied, and at some point along the way, it lost one of its engines while it was underway, and it lost its ability to maneuver, and it got pushed up on this reef where it's been ever since. And he didn't have insurance on it, so it seems like it's just gonna stay here forever.
No tengo vino.
Vino?
Sí, para tomar.
No vino, tengo cerveza, pero la cerveza es caliente.
Dale, manda.
¿Tiene? Or tú te gusta?
Our giveaway stash.
What was I gonna ask? I forget. Dos cervezas? ¿Tú te gusta, Budweiser? Oh, I know. ¿Cuánto pies tú miras langosta y langostina?
¿A cuántos minutos?
No, ¿cuánto pies? ¿Cuánto pies?
Ah, casi depende 18 plaza o 19 la profundidad.
Sí. So,
Sí.
20 pies?
Sí,
Más,
20
más o-
pies, sí. Si
más
yo
o
lo llego
menos.
20 pies, más o menos 20 pies. Si lo vuelta 20 pies, 40 pies.
40.
Sí, para pulmón.
40.
40 feet?
40, I think, yeah, 40. Oh, muy bien. Amigo, niño, ¿tú te gusta pescado? Pescado, caño?
Sí,
¿Caño?
si quiere.
¿Tú te gusta?
Sí. Está pescando para la casa. Todos los días está pescan, que no le alcanza la esa.
¿Tú-
Sí. Ese
¿Te
muchachito, sí.
gusta? Amigo,
Sí.
¿un regalo? ¿Regalo para 9 años?
Años, sí.
Yeah.
Sí.
¿Tú te gusta? ¿Tú sabes cómo? ¿Sabes?
Hay casa de la vuelta porque... Sí sabe, sí sabe.
Perfecto.
Ok, gracias.
Feliz nuevo año.
Dale.
Adios!
Adiós.
Bye!
Chao.
So those guys basically said they came by to sell some lobster. There's some big crabs in there too. We bought a nice-sized lobster, no eggs, and a couple of the smaller Spanish lobsters. They call them langostina. And I was talking to him a little, and I was saying, how do you get the langostina? Because we have trouble getting them, like in other places. They're much smaller and way faster. So we get them here and there, but like it's just so annoying. But he says, yeah, they're very fast, like, and he has to be very fast to get them.
Si la angostura se lo rápido, si yo agarra rápido, man.
Yeah, see, okay. But they just have this simple homemade snare that they catch them with. So there was a guy and his 2 sons, and we've had these old fishing poles because Toadfish gave us some nice fishing poles, and we have those older ones, and we've been trying to kind of give them away. We tried to trade them the other day to a guy, but he didn't seem to be interested, and he returned it.
He
said
wasn't
doesn't-
really a fisherman, where
he did-
these guys are fishermen.
He said he didn't know how to use it. But yeah, these guys are fishermen, so we gave both old poles to the kids, and they seem pretty pumped.
Oh, you know what we should have given
What?
to the guy?
What?
That mask that I put in the bag yesterday.
We'll give it to the next guy. There will be more. So we got some lobster for dinner. So we're anchored in this spot called Sarladup or Sarladup right here. But we found a really cool empty island with a beach over here that we think we're gonna go stern tie to later and have a fire right on the beach. So it looks like a really neat spot. Nice protected like little cove area. Maybe we might have to go diving in that cut that our friends Kyle and Leah said that would be a good diving.
Yep, we gotta take advantage of our last day because we gotta get a move on.
We'll drop the chain an inch back while we drop the chain.
You can go. Ready, go. Teddy says you left me. Come on back. Good job. Stay back. Stay back.
Oh, it's strong. Jack.
Look at you took him from his friends.
All his friends are following him. They're like, what's going on? Oh, oh, he definitely ate it. I feel. Can you hold this? Let's go, we're gonna have a fire on the beach. So we're gonna build it, and then Sierra's gonna come. We only need to start the engine. Just pull ourselves to shore. Right, Jets? Right here. A little bit more. So I was collecting all this wood from like the shoreline, mostly driftwood, because everything that's on the island is just like palm tree brush and stuff. I was about to throw them in the fire, and we found out it's a little tiki man carved.
How did you even notice that?
I just looked at him when I was about to put him in.
This little statue is called a Nuchu by the Gunayala people, and it acts as a link between their spiritual and physical worlds. Nuchus vary in strength. Some are protective, while others can be harmful. Traditionally carved by the spiritual leader and a healer of a tribe, the Nuchus guard individuals, families, and communities, warding off illness and helping guide souls. They are used in healing rituals and placed in homes or burial sites. True Nuchus are made from hardwood, while tourist versions are crudely cut from balsa wood and lack spiritual energy. After researching and speaking with the locals, we've learned ours is a souvenir Nuchu, so it's safe to keep, and now our little Nuchu gets to travel the world with us. I need a longer stick.
What you doing over there? Oh, it doesn't sound familiar.
delicious.
It's what?
Really good.
No, oh, down. Thank you. Mmm.
Pleased with your creation?
Pretty good, yeah. I'll taste it.